Welcome back everybody to Forza Horizon 6, and today we're taking a look at the 2023 Toyota GR Corolla. So this is a hot hatch variant of the 12th generation of the Corolla, and it is in fact the first modern Corolla we have had on a Forza game, because before this you have to go all the way back to 1974 for the Corolla SR5 to be the other Corolla that we've ever had. So yeah, it's about time that we've had a new version of this car, because quite frankly it is a well-known name, and it is surprising that we haven't had one sooner. And yeah, this ultimately shares the same engine and the GR4 all-wheel drive system that the GR Yaris has, but with this being a bigger and heavier vehicle, power has been increased, and it's got this extra power from the three tailpipes that it's got going on here, which are there to reduce back pressure. It's also got jets of oil that are used to cool the pistons, large exhaust valves to quickly vent spent gases, and a machined intake port for better flow. It's also got three different ways that the all-wheel drive system can be changed. So you can have it a 60-40 split for everyday driving, 50-50 for track and maximum stability, or 30-70 for more torque to the rear wheels, and therefore, you know, probably get it drifting around a bit more. And yeah, to keep the fact that it's got more power and more torque than the Yaris in check, we have front and rear Torsen limited slip differentials. At the front, it also has McPherson strut suspension with circuit-tuned coil springs, shock absorbers and stabilizer bars. And in the rear, there is double wishbone multi-link suspension as well. And yeah, on top of that, you've got a different kind of bodywork here over the standard Corolla, as well as carbon fiber roof to reduce the make the center of gravity lower, and it's got more structural rigidity as well, because inevitably it's got a lot more power than what a standard Corolla would have, and yeah, the body would flex and move around to due to that extra power and torque. But being a hatchback in essence, it is still a car that has plenty of practicality and everyday usability on the go. So as you can see, nice enough looking interior. It's even got a manual handbrake, so you can slide it around in that 30-70 split if you so wish. And as you can see, we've also got, crucially, a 6-speed manual gearbox, so you can make the most of the power and torque that it's got. But everything else, yeah, pretty standard for a Corolla, really, outside of the odd GR badge here and there. And yeah, being a four-door car, it's got more practicality than the Yaris had, which, you know, is... sorry, I don't know why the indicator there is not coming up. There we go. Oh, sorry about that. It's been a bit fiddly today. Oh, we'll just explode it. So yeah, it's got more practicality in the rear, having four doors. And it's got a pretty sizable boot as well. The Yaris had a decent sized boot as well, but it was hardly class leading, so yeah, it's nice to see that we've still got a sizable boot for this version as well. And yeah, like I said, it's got more power and more torque than the Yaris. So as a result, it's still, but it also still has the same engine, so 1.6 litre turbocharged inline 3, but it's now producing 300 horsepower and 295 pounds-feet of torque. So that's 43 horsepower more than the Yaris and 30 pounds-feet of torque more as well. But like I said, this is a heavier car, so it needs that extra power, because it now weighs 3,186 pounds, which is 298 pounds more than the Yaris. And to be honest, I think the Yaris is still the bit more special of a car, quite frankly, because, you know, that was built for homologation purposes. Had a bit more of a unique body style to it, with it being 3 doors and having that really rather great looking rear end, whereas this just looks like, you know, what every other, you know, company does when they want to make a hot hatchback. They flare the wheel arches, they add a bit of bodywork, and yeah, just bump up the power. And granted, yeah, the power is great on this, certainly more so than the Yaris, and it's still got that fantastic all-wheel drive system, but this is a little bit more ordinary than what the Yaris was, and yeah, as a result, isn't quite as special. But it still looks good, and you can do some body modifications with this as well. You can darken the grille if you so wish. Oh, I forgot there you can do the bonnet as well. So you can raise the bonnet quite considerably with some extra vents. So you can see there, it rises quite considerably there. Not good for pedestrian safety, but should hopefully also make, you know, better cooling for the engine. It also reduces the weight slightly as well. We can also do the same thing with the rear end in terms of darkening the plastic. as you can see, which I kind of prefer. I don't really like this light grey, especially with a bright colour like this red colour that we've got going on here. And then you can also increase the size of the spoiler. Obviously, you can go for the Forza edition if you so, or Forza version if you want, but yeah, that one's definitely a little bit more substantial, as you can see. Doesn't reduce the top speed either as much, but probably doesn't do as much in terms of handling either. So yeah, but overall, even though it's not quite as special as the Yaris, it still ultimately is a 300 horsepower hot hatchback, which is always going to be right up my street. And yeah, just to see what that 300 horsepower can do, let's get out onto the Hakubu circuit and see what it just can do. Right, here we are at the Hakubu circuit, so let's get this car around the track first and hear what it sounds like, then we'll talk about it some more. So yeah, sounds pretty good. I like the fact you can actually hear the turbocharger on this, which I don't think was the case for the Yaris, but yeah, regardless, still a good sounding engine, especially for something that is a very small engine. You know, you only got 3 cylinders and 1.6 litres, and yeah, it still sounds a little bit better than some cars that have much larger engines and much more in the way of power. And yeah, acceleration is pretty damn good as well, to be honest. 0 to 16, 4.28 seconds, 0 to 100 in 11.066 seconds, and it will go to a top speed of 164 miles an hour. So that's 18 mile an hour quicker at the top end than the Yaris, and about 0.3 of a second quicker in terms of 60 and to 100. So yeah, despite that extra weight, which you can somewhat feel when it comes to the handling of this car, it is still ultimately a quicker car in terms of acceleration. And to be honest, on the whole, this does manage its extra weight and power really rather nicely, as it is a really rather planted car. It's quite neutral in terms of its handling. There's not too much oversteer or understeer, although granted we can't switch between the modes that this car has for some reason. We could do so with the Yaris, which is also on this game. So we could switch between sport and track, but for whatever reason we're not able to do that with this car on this one. But regardless, yeah, it's still a very, very well balanced car, and yeah, I forgot to mention as well, they also uprated the brakes as well, which it definitely would need over the standard Corolla. So yeah, all in all, a very good car. It's just not quite as special as the Yaris, to be honest, and that car does at the end of the day feel like a very lightweight and direct vehicle, whereas this, with that additional bit of weight, does feel a little bit more cumbersome. Not by a massive margin or anything like that. Like I said, it really does handle its extra weight and power really rather nicely, but you can still feel it over that Yaris. And at the end of the day, that is a bit more of a special car, being a homologation version of a rally car, and obviously altered bodywork over even the standard Yaris. So yeah, whereas this in terms of bodywork, yeah, it's a bit more usual with its flared wheel arches and a bit of additional bodywork, but nothing radically has changed over the standard Corolla, unfortunately. So yeah, but still a well-worthy car, and a great car as part of the car pass. It's the 8th car in the car pass, so it's the last of the bunch that we currently know of. We've obviously got the next 8 to be revealed at some point next week, but yeah, still a really, really good car. They've obviously done a lot of work on it, even though it doesn't quite look it on the outside, but underneath there is a lot of work going on there, and ultimately it's still a fun hot hatchback, and the kind of car that I really rather appreciate. Nonetheless, so thank you for watching. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this car if you've tried it already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.